Hey guys, this is Rajesh Trivedi from Alert. Alert is an NGO that works towards a better emergency response ecosystem, marching very steadily towards the goal set for it by the former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, to train one in every family in emergency care. Alert trains a common person, a lay person like you and me, with the empathy and the necessary skills to end of the day save a life. In today's episode, we are going to be looking into what stops us, what stops you, what stops me from going forward and making a difference in an emergency situation. The situation could be a road traffic accident. The situation could be that you have trekked into a mountainous region, or you have gone out for a running, probably all by yourself or with a group, or it could just be in your workplace or anywhere else. But many a times, what stops us is our own fear. Our own fear becomes an inhibition to go forward and do those actions that are required to save a life. So most of the times these fears can be categorized, or you would have experienced this. The fear could be about facing a trauma situation. The fear could be about blood. The fear could be about crowd, or the fear could simply be that what if I did something and something went wrong? How does one overcome this fear to end of the day ensure that the other person in an emergency gets saved? Now, we all are confident about handling anything when we really know what is the next immediate thing to do, and that's why training becomes very important. Training gives us that empowerment in such a way that when you enter a scene which is probably chaotic, there is absolute noise, and there is maybe hundreds of people gathered out there really not knowing what to do, and you exactly know what are the next two things to be done. That will help you overcome fear. If it is simply about fear of blood, it is not that we have to expose ourselves to situations where there's a lot of blood, but you can read a lot about it. Today we live in an information world. Acquaint yourself, read a lot more about it so that you can become comfortable with that subject. And when it comes to getting into a crowd, and if it's within your four walls, the situation is different. But when it comes to getting into a crowd, imagine getting into a crowd not to play a guest, but you got to play the host. Now, who is the guest you're going to be handling? The guest is the victim of the emergency, to whom you got to give your compassion so that the person becomes comfortable and is on the path of recovery in any given emergency situation. So primarily these are the stoppers, and awareness and knowledge plays an important role in ensuring that you can overcome these fears. The other inhibition that generally could stop us when we are helping somebody in a public situation is how are the systems and the rest of the governing things that are local to the country ensure that we are protected when we go forward and help. I'm going to here draw some examples to some of the governing laws in other countries, such as Canada. You got the Good Samaritan Act of 2001, and in New South Wales and Victoria in Australia, you have the Civil Liability Act 2002 and Wrongs Act 1958 governing the protection of Good Samaritans in Australia. In the United States, all the 50 states have some form of a Good Samaritan law and an act localized to that state, protecting a Good Samaritan who comes forward and helps in an emergency. The Social Action Responsibility and Heroism Act 2015 in the UK that helps or protects Good Samaritans when considering when they come forward and help. Likewise, every country has taken their own initiative in ensuring that a lay person with the intention to come forward and help is protected under law. Now likewise in India, in the year 2019, the Good Samaritan Act became a reality as part of the Motor Vehicles Amendment Act 2019 within the section 134A of the particular act, where the Good Samaritan Act has sort of ensured it enlists things that protects a common man in India who is protected when he goes forward and helps somebody in an emergency. Now, very quickly, I can give you what are those 5 or 6 things that really is so useful that we can leave aside these inhibitions of am I protected by law? Will I be harassed? Will I be taken to the police stations or courts or so on and so forth? So the Good Samaritan Act, some of the salient features of the Good Samaritan Act in India is total protection from police. When you say total protection, it is you do not even need to reveal your identity. You do not need to show your card, no other card, any such identity that needs to be revealed. So that's total protection. And no detention at hospitals. So if you are helping somebody, you can pick the person and you are rushing to a hospital, and in the hospital no detention can be enforced. You can leave the person, you can say you are a Good Samaritan, and no fees collection as well for basic stabilization. So third most important game changer is no liability to pay bills at the hospital. For what? For basic stabilization of the victim, to put him on the path of recovery. So usually these are some of the stoppers, and so the law now has made it very clear to enable the Good Samaritan to come forward and help. And of course the other important aspect which is now ensured is no civil or criminal liability against the person who is coming forward to help somebody. So you do not have to have the fear that if I came forward and did something, and if something went wrong, will I have a civil or a criminal liability for that particular incident. Now these are major changes, game changers I would say, where you are protected by law. All it now requires is for all of us as individuals to have the empowerment, to have the knowledge, to know what are the right things to be done, so that you can give expression to the compassion within you, the kindness within you, and reach out the right kind of help to the victims of an emergency, who could be a stranger to us or who could be one of our own loved ones in our homes or amongst our friends. So in this episode, it was interesting for me to share with you how the Good Samaritan Act plays an important role in addressing inhibitions and the things that we need to take care of ourselves to handle our inner inhibitions of fears. So what next? Now that we have our inhibitions addressed, in the upcoming episodes, we will now take a look into some very specific emergencies and what are those things that we can do, you and I can do, to ensure that we give expression to our empathy and compassion and become Good Samaritans. So until I meet you in the next episode, stay tuned.